Okay, good morning, guys. So I'm about to make your videos for the IS number 20, difference in two proportion notes, but there are a few things that I want to point out first. First of all, this starts chapter 9, and if you notice in the notes above any of the big idea sections, which these notes are formatted a little bit differently, but above any of the big idea sections in any of the notes, it should state which section I'm trying to, or I'm pulling this information from. So this is all section 9-2. Again, chapter 9 will not be on your next test. It'll be on the final exam, but not your chapter 7 and 8 test. So what I'm trying to do is, we finished the chapter 8 material on Monday. This coming Monday, we will do a review of chapter 7 and 8, and then we'll take the test on Wednesday. And again, that'll kind of be not in class, but like during a normal class time. If you're in the 12:30 class, you'll have from 12:30 to 1:45 to work on it. If you're in the 2 o'clock class, you'll have from 2 o'clock to 3:15. And like I said, we'll do that review on Monday. That should give you plenty of time to finish all of the homework from chapter 7 and 8. The homework from this past Monday from section 8-4 is due this coming Monday. So, you should have had all that homework done. You can ask questions on that if you have them. I'll try to get it graded before Wednesday. No promises, but I should have everything else besides 8-4 graded before Wednesday. Okay, yeah, so I think that's it about chapters 7 and 8. So looking ahead to chapter 9, we're going to kind of continue this pattern of using the 4-step process to conduct confidence intervals and hypothesis tests, but we're going to move away from just having one sample. Now we're going to have 2 samples. So just like we looked at proportions first and then means second in the last 2 chapters, we're going to keep that going in this chapter. So we're going to look at proportions when we're considering 2 different samples. So, both of the examples in these IS 20 notes refer to a situation where we're comparing 2 possibly different populations. The first problem is about STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and math. So STEM students and non-STEM students, we're seeing if they're, if a characteristic of those 2 populations is different or not. And then we will do the same thing with males and females in the second problem. Now, it's possible that there's no difference between the 2 populations with regards to that characteristic. So that males and females have no difference in how often they use Twitter, and STEM and non-STEM students have no difference in the representation of, Black or Hispanic females. But that is what we are going to try to consider, whether or not there is a difference between them. So we're basically going to use that 4-step process in the same strategy. That's the reason, we've been starting with the general formula, then the specific formula, and then plugging in our values, because that general formula is still the same. For hypothesis tests, it's still the test statistic is equal to the statistic minus the parameter and then divided by the standard deviation. The only thing that has changed is our specific statistic, parameter, and then standard deviation. So these notes are going to be set up a little bit differently. I'm not going to do that kind of introduction to the sampling distribution just to save time. Or at least I'm not going to, work through problems that have to do with that. So instead, I'm going to end up starting here in this first big idea section where I'm just going to give you the information that we need to work with the sampling distribution for a difference of 2 proportions. And then we'll move forward and work through a hypothesis test, kind of summarize what we need from that, work through a confidence interval, summarize what we needed from that. And then the homework that goes with these notes, the 9-2 homework, I think each of the problems there are a couple that are kind of like based on the ideas as usual at the beginning, but then the last 3 problems ask you to do the hypothesis test and a confidence interval for each of them. So I know, it's kind of seeming like a lot, but there's only 3 of them, and I gave you 3 so that you could see an example of each, an alternative hypothesis that would be less than, one that would be different from, so just not equal, and then would be the greater than. So I wanted you to see each of those. But I do expect you to do the 4-step process for both the hypothesis test and the confidence interval. However, in that situation, for say, I don't remember what number it is. Where'd it go? Number Number 7, I think, is the first one like that. So it's 7, 8, and 14 from this homework that have the hypothesis test and the confidence interval. So for number 7, you don't have to check the conditions twice. Those aren't going to change. So, run the hypothesis test just like normal 4-step process, and then do your confidence interval. And when you get to the plan stage, you can just say conditions met as above, because, like I said, you already checked them. Now, when you move on to number 8, you'll have a different situation. So you'll have to check the conditions for the hypothesis test. But when you get its confidence interval, again, you could just say conditions as above. Okay, so if you have any questions about the homework, please, please, please email me or message me on Schoology whenever you have that question. You can also still post it to the discussion board if you think other people probably had that question too. Just make sure you're posting to the relevant discussion board. Make sure you're posting to the IS20 discussion board for questions about the 9-2 homework. Do not wait until the day that it is due, because there's no guarantee that I will be ready and responsive to you on that day. Like I said, I'm working from home in a wide variety, so a lot of the times I'm recording these videos prior to the actual Monday or Wednesday day, and I might be doing something else right before it's due, and I might not be able to get back to you. So make sure you at least ask before the day it's due. Yeah, so I think that's it as far as our introduction to these notes. I'm going to get started going over them.